Boom, boom, boom.
I'm not even fully caught up. I'm so many events behind on this.
Okay.
I don't even know what's happening on Huge Man now. I have no idea what's happening with anything, so I just say, you know, I like wrestling.
Well, welcome everybody. Sorry about the technical difficulties. We had to make sure we had our Facebook Live up and running. My name is James Lowe. I'm the moderator this evening for this panel discussion. And I've got Merrick McMichaels from Kansas Wrestling Revolution, and Chris Crazy is on his way.
He's out parking the limo.
He's parking the limo. So we wanted to introduce you guys to how to start a professional wrestling company, an indie wrestling promotion essentially. And so Merrick, you were involved with another wrestling organization in Salina, and then you went on to help start Kansas Wrestling Revolution. Tell me a little bit about the game plan of putting this together and how this came about leading up to this event you guys have coming up here next weekend.
Well, in starting Kansas Wrestling Revolution, I mean, if you're a fan of wrestling and you know anything about independent wrestling, you know that there are possibly a million independent wrestling organizations across the United States. I mean, there's just thousands upon thousands. So the main thing that you want to do to start off is find a way to set yourself apart from everybody else. I know just in Kansas alone, in our little section of, even within maybe a 5-hour radius, we've got probably around half a dozen independent wrestling promotions. And most of them work together. In us starting our own and kind of going out on our own, we decided the best way to set ourselves apart from everything that everybody else is doing is we do it bigger, we do it better, we put in more production, we put in more emphasis on storytelling. So that's kind of what we do. When you come to a Kansas Wrestling Revolution event, you're not getting your typical ring set up in the middle of a high school gymnasium kind of.
With 50 chairs around.
Yeah, correct. We are at the Tony's Pizza Event Center in Salina, which is the biggest venue that Salina has to offer. We have, a large stage. We have jumbotron screens. We have all the lighting and special effects that you would see at a rock concert. We have vignettes that play throughout the show that help further the storylines during the show. They're all professionally produced, in-house by us. And we have just a very large emphasis on storytelling to kind of give every match that big fight feel that you might not get from another independent promotion. You might go to another indie show and you don't know what's going on. You got there and they decided 5 minutes before the show started who's wrestling.
This is who's wrestling. No, there's no storylines. No one knows.
Right. We've been building our matches for months at a time, so everybody knows who they're going to see face who, why they're wrestling that person. And I guess, Chris, did you park the limo outside? Did you find a parking spot?
Took long enough.
It took long enough to park the limo. I've never tried to park a limo on a Comicon, so I'm sure that was
Very difficult.
That was very difficult.
Yeah.
Talk to me a little bit about now that you've joined us, Chris. Talk to us about the background of making sure that your logos and your posters and your flyers and having all that put together, because a lot of folks don't think about that. That's sort of
So,
a back.
talking about like making people recognize your brand.
Yes.
How do we stand out with our logos and poster graphics versus everyone else?
So you gotta have something that's eye-catchy. And the biggest thing to do is, you have to have inspiration. So you wanna take something that inspires you and twist it to put your spin on it. That's the best advice I can give. Our logo, it's funny because I developed, 4, 5, 6 different versions, and then we just hit one, and it worked. And we were tweak this or that. And you know what theme you're going for, you know what your end goal is, but honestly, a lot of it is trial and error, see what sticks.
I mean, what he's talking about, you want to take something that you're inspired by and kind of twist it. You know, as you can see, our next event coming up, Midwest Mania, next Saturday in Salina. If you know anything about independent wrestling, you may have seen a flyer look very similar to this. There's an indie wrestler sitting right there that knows what I'm talking about. You know, the Bullet Club did a show.
The Elite.
Yeah,
Dude.
the Elite did a show. And they called it All In. And their flyer was very simple, it was very clean. It was in black and white, but it got people's attention. And I said, if we're going to put on one of the biggest independent wrestling shows that Salina has ever seen, we might as well do the same flyer because that catches people's eye when they want to buy it. So Chris put that together, and I nearly fell out of my chair when he texted to me because I think it looks awesome. So
I mean, you learn from failure. There was at least 2 different versions of the poster before we had done. So you learn from failure.
and they were bad.
Now, gentlemen, talk to me a little bit about one of the things that I like about what you guys do is, like, for instance, with this show, all your workers are going to be paid before they even step through the door. You've got sponsorships, things like this. Kind of take us through a little bit of that.
Well, I mean, if you talk to any independent wrestler, they can tell you paydays for independent wrestlers are very small. They are, sometimes they don't even get paid. And if they do get paid, they're usually waiting hours after the event is over because the promoter is counting on the ticket sales from that night to pay his talent. That's not how we run. When we decided to go to start this thing up, I'm in charge of talent, so from a talent perspective, I said I want all of our guys to know that they're appreciated. So in making these events as big as we do, we are able to reach out to local advertisers to help us put on these events. And in doing that, we don't have to pay anything out of our pocket whatsoever. Our advertisers cover our shows for us. And when our talent walks in the door, they're paid immediately. And even our out-of-state talent, we're able to provide them with a hotel room because we have guys that drive from Texas, Oklahoma, Missouri, all over the place to come and work for us. And when they come, they're taken care of. They're catered to meals. We actually were at a show we had in October. We're able to arrange a party bus to come and pick up the guys after the show and take them around town and show them a good time. And to guys that are used to getting paid $10 in a bologna sandwich at the end of the night, they are flipping out because they're thrilled. And that's no joke.
Yeah.
When I started out in the business, I was literally given a bologna sandwich and $10 at a certain promotion that I will not mention, but that guy right there is
You with a hot dog and a can of Mountain Dew.
hot dog and a can of Mountain Dew. That's absolutely right. So these guys are
Maybe
getting,
nachos.
yeah, so these guys are getting paid. They're getting paid pretty well compared to what they're getting paid other places, and they're being taken care of.
I mean, no, this isn't a get-rich-quick type of scheme.
No.
There is no money to be made in this.
There is no money in independent wrestling. WWE has a monopoly on wrestling. You will make no money doing this. You might make some, but you're not going to make a living.
Our biggest thing is we get the money out of the way because this is a passion project.
Correct.
We do this because we love it. We do it because we want to have fun. So when you walk in the door, we don't want your worry to be, am I getting paid? When am I getting paid? No, you got your money. Now let's have fun. Let's go out there and let's kill it. I mean, the jokes in the back are hilarious, the stuff that we're doing. I mean, it's all put together and then we just run and it's fun. Because from that point, after they walk in the door, it's time to go to work and do what you love. So that's the point, is from showtime on,
Right.
Life's pretty fun.
Yeah. I mean, you've been in our locker rooms, Jiggy.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, a lot of independent pro wrestling locker rooms, I mean, there's some drama. You got a lot of guys with inflated egos that they're worried about their spot. Or, like Chris said, they're worried about getting paid at the end of the night. And we eliminate all that completely by letting them know they're appreciated. Everyone is an important part of our show. And it's kind of everybody pitch in and make this the best show possible. And we have not ever had one guy complain about his spot on the show. So
I heard you say ego, so I just need to chime in real quick, just for 1 second.
Oh, here we go.
Yes,
I think we're missing
we're
something.
missing someone. I see.
Touch
I
on
just-
that, Jiggy?
We were scheduled to have Nathan, the Natester, Nathan Clanahan, the other part of the management team for Kansas Wrestling Revolution, but apparently he has decided that he didn't want to make the trip to Kansas City. Well, I'd rather just wait till next week. I wasn't real sure on
There's
that.
a little more to that. The Natester is facing this guy over here next weekend, and while they have been friends for a very long time, things have gotten a little heated the past couple of days on Facebook, a war of words. In the business, we call that a shoot. These guys have been firing back and forth on each other on a very personal level, and Nathan called me yesterday to inform me he would not be coming because he was not sure what he would do if he saw his face.
Yeah, he's just, in case he does watch this and see this, just know people are paying attention to your empty promises because they're starting to stack up.
Now, one thing you did mention, Chris, in your shoot your shoot promo that you did on Nathan a few days ago,
Yeah.
is you mentioned the background from the other wrestling organizations that you've been involved in as far as designing their logos and
Creating them,
all of this. Leading up to this show in April, what is that process like? To get everything designed, get the flyer ready, build towards the show.
It's very simple. You get a pad of paper, you write a list, and then you check them off.
Okay.
So put yourself in a fan's seat.
Yeah.
So what did they want to see? So very often we get stuck in what we're doing. We think this is going to be really cool.
Yeah.
But what does the fan think? Does the fan think that that's cool? 9 times out of 10, this moment that everyone in the back is like, is he going to do it? Is he going to do it? Is he going to do it? The fans don't even notice.
Correct.
So you need to remove yourself and you need to see what does the fan want to see. So the whole point of promoting the show, get your poster, get it to be attractive, get it in front of their face. How are you going to get it in front of their face? You're going to promote it on Facebook, you're going to paper the town, you're going to put that in businesses that are willing to promote you, and then you're going to use word of mouth because word of mouth is the strongest marketing tool you can. Anyone that's talking about you, whether it's good or bad, they're talking about you. And then as that spreads, you get more and more people interested in what you're doing. Thus, here we are.
Yeah. Now, take me through the process of, without getting into too much behind the scenes, but I mean, how do you assemble all this talent for these shows? If I'm starting a wrestling organization and I've got, my logo, I'm ready to go, and I'm like, okay.
First of all, you're gonna need some connections. When I started out in business, I started as a ringside manager, and I hustled my way through independent promotion after independent promotion after independent promotion, just getting people to know who I was. And after being, I don't want to do my own horn, but I would say somewhat of a successful indie wrestling manager, people wanted to see what I had to offer as a promoter. And so when I hooked up with these guys, it was very simply just getting a hold of those people that I had got to know over the years, who I knew I would work well with and would work well with what we envisioned. Now, for instance, on this show, we have what we're calling the Best in the Midwest Rumble. We have 20 men in this match. 20 men who are, I would say 15 of which have never worked for our promotion before and are coming from all over the Midwest. That was months of planning and tracking them down and getting, referrals from other independent wrestlers that have said, hey, I've got this guy, you want to take a look at him, reviewing tape on these guys, as far as, they've sent us links on YouTube to some of their matches. I've watched hours upon hours of independent wrestling matches filmed with a cell phone. Badly, I might add. But if I see one little thing in that, hour match that I'm like, that was really cool, the fans done that, I want to book that guy, it was worth it. It's...
I think to add into that is, they're searching for guys, you need to fill your card, but we don't look for warm bodies.
Correct.
So it's gotta be somebody that, as a management team and as a company, we actually feel like we can invest in, somebody that is worth coming back, because if it's a revolving door, the fans notice, and what's gonna make a fan wanna come back and watch a new wrestling show, because no one is the same. Every single time you have new talent, new talent, new talent. Okay, so when you watch the bigger shows, when you watch WWE as you're growing up, the big question was, who's your favorite wrestler? Okay, so you watch Monday Night Raw, you pick your favorite wrestler, you go to tune in the next week, and that favorite wrestler isn't there anymore. Then what, are you gonna wanna watch again? You're like, well, why the heck wasn't he on there? And that's part of the complaints that in the fandom world is, push this guy, push that guy. If you have a revolving door, then no one's gonna invest in you at all.
Right, that's absolutely right. So we have, a staple of guys that we do use regularly, and we use in storylines that are being told not only at our shows, but via vignettes that we put together and post on Facebook. It allows the fans to invest in a character, just like you're watching a television show, a television show like The Walking Dead, or what have you. If they had different characters every episode, no one would watch it.
Yeah.
It's the same with pro wrestling. Yes, it's live, it's performance art, but you essentially should write it the same like you're writing a television show. And so when we're looking for guys, we're looking for guys that will fill a void that we have in the writing. Like Chris said, we're not looking for warm bodies. We're looking for guys that we can say, this guy will go really well with this storyline, or hey, we can do this storyline with that guy. We're not just booking the guy just because he did a cool flip on YouTube. We're booking him because he's got something that fit what our overall goal is in that part of the writing process.
Now, Chris, you have been involved in professional wrestling in Salina since people were doing it on a trampoline in the backyard, all the way to where you guys have, a huge card. You've got professional 20 by 20 ring, all these things. How do you go from the trampoline to the ring, essentially? Can you give us a little bit of that journey and how that?
How do you transition? So I'll tell you the way that I did it. Once we received the ring, and we started playing in it and stuff, trying to do as your heroes do. and trying to take it more serious, the biggest thing that we always ran into was safety first. So when you're trying to learn how to do things, you need to look at it and see what you're doing.
Yeah.
The first probably 2-3 events, it was us working with the roster.
Yeah.
I mean, everybody's working together to take care of each other. But from that point, then we had some other guys started to come in and give tips and tricks and stuff like that. For me personally, I'm very self-trained.
Yeah.
And that's from working with people like Nathan, working with Jesse, working with the other guys that are very talented,
Yeah.
and figuring out what works and what doesn't. And then from that point, it's a matter of polishing
Yeah.
and making things look better as far as that goes. But my concern, I've never been a high flyer. I've never been a hardcore guy. I've just been a grounded pound type of guy. And so my concerns weren't, can I do a 450? Can I do a shooting star? Can I do all of this stuff? My concern was entertaining. And I focused more on my character. I focused more on, did the fans enjoy what they just saw? And when they do, the flips don't matter that much.
Yeah.
So, as far as I go, I was very self-trained, but again, I mean, I learned from watching and studying, and then trying, trial and error. If you
Yeah.
fail, you learn, and going from there. But yeah, it's been fun. But Midwest Mania will be my last show as a performer, as a wrestler. That's due to just personal reasons. Has nothing to do with the business, has nothing to do with the company, has nothing to do with any of that. And I figure on my way out, I'm just gonna get it all out there. I'm gonna air the dirty laundry.
There was a lot of stuff I did not know in that. See,
I
that's part of the reason why I'm glad that you put that out before we did this panel today, because you really, I did not know that you were as involved with
Well, some people.
other wrestling companies and everything.
Some people don't need instant gratification of, oh, great job, oh, great job, oh, great job, you do so many things, great job, you're so awesome. I don't need that, I just want to get the job done.
Yeah.
And I want to make everything look as good as possible. Unlike someone else who needs instant gratification 24/7 spoon fed to them.
Now, on the same note, you mentioned that you came up doing, managing at indie shows.
Right.
How, did you just show up at a show one time and go, hey, kind of explain to the audience here.
No, I actually started, I would say, I guess I didn't technically start in the business as a manager. I actually started by doing a podcast with a buddy, and that kind of got us in the door some places. And then I knew an indie wrestler, and he knew that I had, he said I had a talent for speaking and possibly managing, so he got me in the door one day to this company. I showed up in a suit, I had a character, and he said, okay, you're gonna manage me that night, I'm gonna give you the mic in the middle of 400 people for 5 minutes, and I'm a hometown guy, and I want you to turn me heel. Okay. So I went out there and just said pretty much all I could about how much that town smelled, how much these people needed to learn how to use deodorant, toilet paper. Let's see, what else did I do? I scared some children. That worked. And then I told the fans that their hometown hero was no longer there to entertain them. He was there to make money, win championships, and we then proceeded to have some soda bottles thrown at us. So all in all, a very successful first time as
Very
a heel manager, and then it was just off and rolling from there.
So how do you go from doing the heel manager shtick, essentially getting into being, behind the scenes and
being a bit of a control freak. When you go from indie show to indie show and you have no control over what you are being told to do that night, and there's a guy telling you what to do and you know that it's absolutely the wrong idea, you then start to think, maybe I can do this better. And that's kind of what happened. And then I kind of tried my own thing. I tried to be a promoter on my own. Did not work very well. I will be the first one to say RWE was not the biggest thing in Kansas wrestling. It was fun while it lasted. But then when I hooked back up with Chris and Nathan after knowing them for years, and starting this, it was like we all have our individual strengths as promoters. And I mean, I couldn't ask for a better two guys to work with to make this company what it is and continue to grow it like we are growing it. Like I said, we all have kind of our individual strengths that play to each other. Chris is really good with all of the production and producing, the graphics, the videos, even our vignettes are vastly different from anything that you'll see in any of wrestling. We actually produce them like short films, so they have a very cinematic feel to them. When you watch our vignettes, it's not like watching an interview backstage. It's more like watching a scene from a film is what we aim to do. And Chris puts all of that together, and he does a great job of it. When I say, this is kind of the vision I have for something, Chris is like, immediately he goes, okay, we can do it this way. And I'm just flabbergasted. And putting him over a little too much, and I think it's starting to go a little bit higher than it should.
Say something good about Nathan.
Nathan is great at talking. Nathan is a great communicator, and he's very good at networking. So all of these advertisers and sponsors that we work with, Nathan has known these people for years through different business ventures that he's done, and he knows these people on a professional level, and so he's able to walk in and talk to these guys, and within 10 minutes we walk out with a check in our hand, because he's just great at pitching things to people and making them understand what we're trying to do, and getting them excited to partner with us. Nathan's great at that. Nathan's also great at putting together some of the most extravagant entrances I've ever seen in independent wrestling.
I've seen, I think it was the last show, he came out in a Ghostbusters outfit.
Came out in a Ghostbusters outfit
It was completely-
and had a full-on proton pack that shot fog out of the hose from the end. And when I say fog, I mean it shot, like it had a CO2 tank on the back and shot out a 30-foot stream of fog. And this is at an indie pro wrestling event where most people are used to going and seeing this at a high school gym with 50 people, and we're packing 400 people in place. And Chris had one of the craziest entrances I've ever seen. He came out dressed as Freddy Krueger, and it literally, we had this crazy red lighting and this Nimbus fog machine that had floor fog, and it looked like Chris was coming out from the pits of hell. If you go to our Facebook page, you can see a photo of it. It looked amazing. It looked like he was coming out of the boiler room from that scene in Friday the 13th, or Nightmare on Elm Street. I'm sorry, I'm not up on that word. So.
Not big on movies.
Yeah, you know that.
You were at the wrong convention, sir.
But no, I mean, yeah, I'll say nice things about Nathan, but I know this guy won't, so I'll put Nathan over here.
Well, let's go to the audience. Do you guys have any questions for these two while they're...
Yeah, absolutely.
Really quickly on that laptop, can you bring up that picture? Because I would be really interested in seeing it.
I can't do it. Are you hooked up to the internet right there? If he's hooked up to the internet, yeah.
I got it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If not, Chris has it on his phone.
Why would I not have a picture? of
He
myself?
looks at it all the time. Oh, there we go. We got Facebook. Yeah. Are you on Wi-Fi?
We will see what happens.
You have our Facebook page pulled up right there in the tab.
I can host a panel.
No,
Apparently no internet.
He's not on Wi-Fi. If you want to come up, Chris has it on his phone if you want to look at it.
Sadly, I don't have any pictures of Nate's here. Yeah, that's the picture.
Really cool.
Now, when you guys go to put these events together like this, well, like with the entrance there, is it the event you put together and then we do all the cool stuff?
Yes.
Or is it we do the cool stuff and go, well, we gotta have an event for this?
No. I mean, you do it. I mean, of course, Chris probably has things in his head, and being a wrestler, you know, goals of crazy things he wants to do with an entrance. I know Nathan has like probably a list of different entrances he wants to do. He keeps tossing around the idea of riding in on a white horse. I don't know what it is. I've never done that.
He's done a tank outing?
Yeah, he's came in on a tank, DX style, and shot out t-shirts from a t-shirt gun. We had a guy ride in on a Jeep. Let's see, what else have we done? Random ATVs and side-by-sides, confetti cannons, anything you could possibly think of. Yeah. I mean, we've got some pretty cool entrances planned for this show. I don't want to give anything away, but there's a guy named Retro Randy that everybody keeps talking about. I'm not sure who that is, but he says he's a 1980s wrestling superstar. I don't know that. I guess the word is he's got some crazy entrance. He's riding in on something. I don't know what it is.
Hopefully it's a DeLorean.
That would
Since
be
he's from the 80s, that would be.
He had a question.
Okay, yeah, go ahead.
As someone who's trying to get into pro wrestling, where would be the best place to like start out at?
Well, that depends on who you ask.
Okay.
If you have a local promotion, that might be the best place to start, is by talking to a local promotion. If they stiff you, because some of them do, then try and maybe find a local pro wrestling school. I'd love to talk with you maybe after this panel, if you're interested in that. But I would say starting with a local promotion and finding any way to get your foot in the door, and then just kind of going from there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just on top of that, what type of things would you want to avoid?
And starting out in the business,
Yeah.
check your ego at the door. You know absolutely nothing. I still learn something new about this business every time we do a show. No, I am never, I think Chris can say this too, we are never above learning more. And that's the way you have to be, especially starting out in the business, is you know nothing. You absorb everything like a sponge. You take all the criticism and advice that you can get from anybody. Even if it's really harsh criticism, you just take it and you say thank you. Respect is a very big thing in this business. So check your ego out the door is the best advice I could give you. And if I could go back in time and give that same advice to myself, I would, because I would have avoided a lot of BS had I done that.
And be ready, because it hurts, and it hurts a lot.
It sucks, that's why I'm a manager.
And that, I mean, there are days when you wake up and everything just hurts, and you may not have performed for 2-3 weeks. You get up and you just like, oh, how am I gonna get moving? But it's just part of it. You take the beatings and you enjoy it. I mean, the last, 18, God, it's been 18 years of me doing this.
Yeah, I guess. I don't know,
If
I've been
you
doing it
go-
for 5 years.
If you go way back doing it with the boys in the backyard doing the stupid stuff you shouldn't do. Yeah.
I've seen some of that footage, yeah, that is.
Jumping off the trampoline, going through 2 tables while RKOing someone, yes, don't do that. My hip is still completely jacked from that. And that was in 2008. And it still hurts to this day. So, yeah, it hurts a lot.
And I guess something else to play off kind of what you said of what to avoid. If you're starting out and you're an independent wrestler, don't worry about going out there and doing a ton of crazy spots. Worry about your character. Invest in your character. Don't invest in going out there and being a gymnast. And this might be contrary to what other people tell you, but I can tell you confidently, especially in the Midwest, what people want to see more than anything is compelling storytelling. So focus on your character, focus on how you can tell a story, not only inside the ring, but outside of the ring when they're coming up and buying your t-shirt or asking for an autograph. You always want to tell a story about yourself, and people will take that home with them, and they'll come back to see you because of that. You know, people aren't going to be talking about some cool flip you did a year from now. They're going to be talking about the incredible story you told. They're going to say that match was amazing because they felt emotionally captivated while they were watching it.
If you look back, and I don't know if it's me just showing my age or not, but if you look back at
How old are you?
the glory days,
I believe you turned 30 today, right? This little geezer over here. Yeah, by the way, it's Chris's birthday today.
Oh,
He's
really?
30 years old.
so anywho, back to the glory days. If you look at like the Monday Night Wars and stuff, and you think of how cool the NWO was, you remember the NWO because of the story. If you look back at DX, you remember DX not because of the moves. You remember them because of the stories they told. So there's a reason WWE is successful, and don't try to reinvent the wheel. It's already made. They know what they're doing. There's a reason they're successful as they are. So learn from them.
Now, with this show, one of the things that I like about what you guys do with your wrestling organization is that you're not like a lot of these indie groups that we got to have a show every month,
Correct.
on a certain date, and it's not just indie shows in Kansas. I see indie shows all over the country that they're having a show. If they are, for instance, and this is just me thinking of wrestling, but when we were down in Tennessee last year, they advertised Friday night, Saturday night wrestling. And every Friday, every Saturday,
Every Friday and Saturday.
they did wrestling
That's awesome.
in Tennessee somewhere. This one wrestling company had 2 buildings rented. And with you guys, you build to 3 or 4 events a year.
We take it, we're a little bit different in that. Sometimes running that regularly works for some companies. And I'm not gonna knock that. But with the amount of production and time and storytelling that we put into our shows, we thought it would be best to do 4 shows a year. And we use those 3 months in between each show to build every single match to make it the biggest thing possible. So by the time that we get to that show, the fans are seething at the mouth, ready to see the match that they want to see that night.
Yeah.
And we've decided that that's the best approach for us, because we want to put on these huge, what we call mega shows, and set ourselves apart from everybody else who's doing wrestling in our area. There's another company that runs in the same town as us, and they run every single month. And I don't know if you know how big Salina is, but it's like, what,
40,000 people.
48.
40, yeah, it's like 40 or 50,000 people, so it's not a big town. So in order to set ourselves apart from someone else running in the same town as us who runs every single month, we're gonna run less, but we're gonna do bigger. And so that's kind of what we're doing.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at almost every aspect of life, do you want quantity or do you want quality? Because you never get both, and if you do, tell me the secret. Because
Because
it's really
WWE
hard.
ain't that way. We all know that.
Yeah.
So speaking of that, whenever you book a show like this, you run only every 3 months.
Uh-huh.
Do you have every match try to steal the show, or do you book it to where there's a rise and then a kind of a lull after that, and then work the crowd back up?
That's actually a really good question. With some of the matches, we do book them as, I would say, kind of a breather match, because you don't want to emotionally exhaust the crowd. But I would say most guys on that card, because they've been waiting to be on that show for 3 months, they want to steal the show. But we do have some matches that we book as a breather match because we know that 2 guys are going to go out there and just blow the roof off the place, and we can't do that match after match after match after match, because by the time we get to the main event, people are going to be exhausted. So yeah, to answer your question, yeah, we do book some breather matches.
And to go back to the storytelling, not every single match is going to tell a story if you're just beating the tar out of each other. So how do you grow a character if every match is the same? So yeah, things are always different, and one thing that we are trying our hardest, and it is a struggle, but we're trying to make every single person on our roster matter. There is not a single jobber on our roster.
Jobber is not a term that we use at all. Everybody matters.
I want you guys to touch on what you guys did at the previous show that you guys did in Salina, where you had the hardcore title, and you had vignettes that you filmed in the afternoon. You played them throughout the evening.
No, you're giving away the magic. It's an illusion, man. So we didn't have the benefit of having live cameras backstage because we don't have $1 million budget. So we have a hardcore title that is similar to what WWE had in the past, where it was 24/7. So we had the title in a 6-man ladder match earlier in the night. The guy won it. And then after the second match, we had a vignette on the screen where he got the crap kicked out of him in the back, and another guy won it. That title changed hands.
It then changed hands in another video.
Correct.
And then in the main event, during a match happening, the hardcore champion came running out. I happened to be in the match that was happening. I dropped that guy, pinned him, won the hardcore title while I'm competing for the world title, and then got my head kicked off, and someone pinned me, and they took off running out of the building.
The shortest reigning hardcore champion in KWR history. I believe it was a reign of 5 seconds.
Yeah, it was not. Yeah,
So-
I stood up, said yay, turned around, got kicked in the face.
So yeah, I mean, we have a lot of fun with it. Our title will change hands at an after party at a bar after one of our shows on
And what's
Facebook Live.
one of your sponsors?
Yeah, one of our sponsors was a bar, and we had an after party there, and the title changed hands on Facebook Live. So it's doing things like that, using social media to, again, tell those stories, even with a title like a hardcore title where we said we don't have jobbers, but those guys still have a place.
Yeah.
And we make sure that they're still being seen by the fans, and we're still building them up so that one day, Chris Crazy or the Nainster doesn't have to wrestle. We've got other guys that we build over time. So I believe
Yeah, the interesting thing.
She's
Okay. Well, give us some final thoughts here, each of you guys, and then we'll get the heck out of here.
Final thoughts. Nainster sucks. Come to Midwest Mania. Watch me almost kill him. It's going to be a great show.
yeah, final thoughts. Yeah, if you guys ever want to see some good independent pro wrestling, come down to Salina. Check us out on Facebook, Kansas Wrestling Revolution. Come down to Salina. We're working on some big things coming up in the future. I can't give too much away, but at Midwest Mania we will have a huge announcement. So if you can't make it to Midwest Mania, check out our Facebook because there will be a big
We got
announcement.
2 announcements that we gotta make right now.
We're gonna make them right now.
Okay.
In talking about promotions working together, have decided to create our own network of companies working together called the Revolution Wrestling Network. And this is going to be a group of 3 to 4 companies that are going to be working together to start a revolution for wrestling in the Midwest.
Better production, better storytelling, all the way across the board. Everyone's supporting each other. That's the point.
Correct.
Wow.
And in doing that, we have decided also, and I think Chris might want to take this.
At Midwest Mania, we are launching our very own Hall of Fame. And at Midwest Mania, there will be 3 entities inducted into our Kansas Wrestling Hall of Fame. So we want to recognize
Stuff that I didn't even
the
know.
people that have helped us get where we're at, and say thank you, because there's more than the people that are out there in the ring and on the stage.
All right, you want to wrap things up here, Jiggy?
Well, thank you guys. I hope you guys have enjoyed this and learned a lot. And as soon as we're done, both of these gentlemen will be available for questions and everything. So thanks to you guys for being here. Appreciate it.
Thanks, guys.